3. Hey guys, welcome back to the BAE Podcast. It's your girl LaShana West here, aka Miss West Creative Coach, and I am here with Uche. Uche, please introduce yourself to the people for me.
Hey. So first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to be here today. And as LaShana said, my name is Ucheonye Maple. I am a leadership and personal development coach. I help women who are in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics field to get unstuck, to get them promoted, to get them paid what they're worth. And, I've been in engineering for the last 22 years and just really, really excited about the field, about what women are doing, how we're changing it, and just overall excited to be here today.
Awesome. I love your niche. So basically you're an engineer by trade. Mm-hmm. And you embarked and started your own business to support those in that arena. And what made you choose that niche? Because I love it.
So, statistically speaking, women in engineering, first and foremost, we only make up about 30% of the population in those fields. So think about that as science, math, engineering, mathematics. However, we were leaving at a higher rate. So women between 0 to 5 years are leaving like at a 37% rate, 0 to 10, 32. And then women who had even 20 years experience left the field. And one of the things that they were experiencing was just feeling undervalued, not feeling seen, not getting promoted, not being heard. And it really impacted me because I was there at the 5-year mark, 10-year mark, 15-year mark, and 20-year mark. And hearing the stories and realizing that we have so much to offer, but more importantly, when those C-suite positions become available, we hear often that there are no women in the pipeline to get promoted.
Right.
And my passion is to make sure that the people that work with me, that I help them position themselves where they're getting those opportunities, where they're getting that visibility. So when those C-suite director positions, senior director positions become available, they already have the resume and the tools they need to continue to move up and grow their career.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining that. Yeah, it's just so dope. I think we need more people who actually seen the problem, they've seen the gap, and instead of sweeping it on the rug or instead of complaining about it, you're doing something about it. And it helps to open more doors. So super dope. So as you know, this series is called Dear Fear. And I just wanted to ask, because I know you seen the title, you were like, ooh, I want to be on there. So tell me, like, what resonated with you when you seen the topic Dear Fear?
Well, what I thought was interesting is when you had your notebook out, and when you were writing Dear Fear and things that you were going to do to not subject to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is interesting and actually enlightening. So what resonated with me was when you were doing that, it just had me be more present in how fear showed up in my life and what processes and tools that I was using to overcome it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you started talking in a softer tone. My mental health I'm noticing your behavior. And so, but that's the thing, like, it's a sensitive topic and you got to be vulnerable. Like, first of all, to even just say, Dear Fear, you got to be vulnerable. But then what do you say and what do you do after that? Like, what do you want to say to fear? And that's basically why I brought it to the table, right? And fear is at the table. And later on, we're going to even do a small activity. I didn't tell you about this. And we're going to talk to fear in the face. Like, I'm looking directly in the camera and we're about to square up with fear in a minute. So you mentioned about dealing with fear. So do you have a scenario, an example, or anything like that you would like to share on how fear showed up and how you kind of conquered it?
Yeah, everything that we do in life is usually sparked by something, right? That makes us either keep going or change something that we've been doing. Probably around 6 years ago, I was in a position where I was working intensively, working a lot of hours, wanted to be seen, right?
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure I was going to, get that extra raise or extra bonus. And what I realized was that despite all of my efforts, despite the impact and value I was doing, I was not being rewarded the way that I thought I should. Mm-hmm. But I made no movement because I was afraid that if I made any noise, that my position could be in jeopardy.
Yep.
Right. So, and just being in that position every day, I decided that I wanted to go and get some personal development. So I went to this conference, changed my life, changed everything and anything about how I moved. I had went to one of the sessions and the woman was just talking about women in leadership and she was just giving examples. But what got me was the power that she was giving off in the environment. And she said something that lit a match in me was that you have to change who you are in order to be who you need to become. By whatever means that is for you. And that was like the catalyst for me. It lit something in me. And when I came back to my environment, my viewpoint was no longer trying to get to that next level. I now had a bigger vision of myself and I began to believe in myself. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget this. Looked for, you just go online, you see opportunities. Yeah. Looked at an opportunity. I said, let me apply for it. It was a Sunday, 10 a.m. Never forget this.
Let me throw my name in the hat.
10 a.m. Applied for the opportunity, got a call on that Monday to come and interview that week. They flew me out. It was a 8-hour interview.
Come on.
And the next day had the email that I got hired, a 30% increase, X amount of signing bonus, benefits, everything. And that's when I knew that fear is what I make it to be.
Yep.
And as long as I identify it, conquer it, and then act and not stay paralyzed or even move in a circle and don't make any progress, I would still be in the position that I was in. So because of that conference in 2015, and because of that woman who lit a match, it has now changed who I have been for the last 6 years.
That is so freaking dope. And I think that's the power of storytelling. That's the power of, because I'm sure she shared either her own story or someone else's story, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. And when we're able to see ourselves through someone else and they're able to infuse their passion in us to light that match, that's when everything starts moving. And that's why I love coaching and consulting, because one situation can change someone's trajectory of their life. And that happened for you. You probably wouldn't even been looking or even believe that you could get the role that you've seen had you not experienced that with that woman in that event.
You're right. And we go to events all the time, right? We go to these personal development events and conferences, and it is very true. She said that one thing, and it took off for me for that moment. But I was in the mindset of receiving. Yeah. Because I knew I needed to change something.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So are you still at that job?
No, actually I left.
You left, and are you full-time entrepreneurship now?
No. Not yet.
Oh, look. No pressure.
I'm still working. I'm still working my 9 to 5. I'm still impacting and doing things while I still have my coaching business. And that's why I said when I saw that you had made the announcement, and I was like, wow, kudos for her for doing it now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like, there's nothing wrong with keeping the 9 to 5 and still making it do what it do. But I think I reached my peak because you're only one person. There's only 24 hours in a day, right? Yep. And something is going to be impacted. Yep. Whether it's marriage, parenting, yourself, your mindset, your mental health, the entrepreneurship, the 9 to 5, and all the other things we have, something's going to be impacted. So listen, I tell everybody this, your journey is your journey. And we got to put our blinders on and stop looking one way and the next, because you don't know what that person's been through. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what's on the other side. So just trust your journey. So I'm excited for you and the impact that you're making. So my next question for you is, when you think of your entrepreneurial journey and like where you are now and the impact that you're making, and think about the clients that you're working with, the women that you're serving, how is fear showing up for them? Like if you could think of themes, because I also did this series because of the themes that I was seeing, imposter syndrome and excessive limiting beliefs and all of these clouds of dust of just showing up on live. And the reason why I say just, because I'm being biased, because it's not always just, but for some that is terrifying. So what's the theme of fear currently for the people you serve?
Worthy. Worthy. So when you are in a male dominated environment, that sense of worthiness comes all the time. It shows up, especially when we get these opportunities to lead, space missions, to go to, go into space, to do satellites, or if you're just leading your small project in terms of, what we're going to do next, what's the new innovation. If you think about this, you are an environment of 10 people. You're in 10 people and you're the only female there. Right? And one, you got to make sure your voice is heard.
Right.
And don't forget, you're the leader. You got to make sure your voice is heard. You have to make sure that they understand that you are leading this effort. And then you have to be able to embody it and say that I deserve this. I've earned this. They didn't just give it to me. Because it shows up when we're leading those projects. Either one, we're quiet and we allow someone else to lead it. But worthiness is one that I see show up a lot. And I believe it's just the way that, one, we have been taught as girls, you don't play with trucks, you don't climb trees, you don't do this, you stay cute. And then when we get in an environment where it's not like how we were brought up, it's, do I deserve this? Right. So that's one of the things that I see show up a lot.
Got you. And I think another word is we shrink. Right? And not only are you probably the only female in leadership, there's probably not many who have the same ethnic background as you.
Yeah, so that is completely different, right? Because you have the gender, and then now you have what you identify as, right? If you're African American, or if you are Caucasian or Asian American. So that's completely, that is a whole nother conversation.
Exactly. So if you just think about the layers, and I've been on this tip of unresolved trauma. So whether it was childhood trauma, whether it was trauma at your last job you were at, whether it was trauma, growing up, being bullied, we carry that when it's unresolved, and then it shows up, and it even gets stickier when we're faced with other trials and tribulations. So girl, listen, I ain't trying to go that deep, but I'm just so excited you're here, because I haven't had anyone in the engineering field, but I know, analytical, critical thinking and just getting deep into the science is just fascinating to me. So I'm gonna switch gears for a minute, and I want to ask you, what would you tell your 15-year-old self if you could talk to her right now?
I would tell her that she is freaking awesome. And don't be afraid to speak up. And that everything actually works, is going to be fine. That's my, just thinking back to my 15-year-old self, is, you talk about shrinking, that's exactly what I did. But letting her know that she's awesome, she's amazing, and continue to trust her instinct and her sense of discernment and her intuition, because she's usually spot on every time.
I love that. It's similar to mine, but really I would tell my 15-year-old self to stop being grown and enjoy the moment of childhood. Like literally, I lied on my application at 14 so I could work.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking about rigged it up, sis. Okay. Now, mind you, why? Why would someone do that? Evidently, they needed to get their needs met. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to trauma, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that fear is the residue of all of that junk. And when I say trauma, it's not always this big, gruesome thing. Trauma could literally be having low self-esteem for long periods of time, or being bullied, or, you know, being ostracized or outcasted in a specific arena, or an event that occurred that you never got over. It's not always, oh, this happened and you on CNN. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But I always like asking that question of our younger self, because sometimes we forget about that person. Mm-hmm. That person is still here. And I agree. You are awesome.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because one of the things that when I first meet with my clients, you know, we go through the process of, why are you here? What would you like to, you know, at the end of this, what would you like to get from this? And normally the issues that we run into that's stopping us from having the life that we want, I tell them this, it usually occurs between the age 3 to 12. Mm-hmm. And once we start pulling back that onion, it's because someone stopped them or told them or did something to them that impacted their lives forever, and it still shows up in everything.
Yep.
Right. So we just have to make sure, and I tell them, I was like, what I recommend, and I tell them, is we just have to make sure that we address it, understand it, and know that when you're feeling these things, when these feelings come up, that's your baseline. Because we weren't born this way, right? You weren't born to be afraid unless you're falling, right? But you weren't born to say that I'm not confident and I'm not this. It's because of what society, your environment has put on top of you. Mm-hmm. And the way to get rid of all of that is to continue to have good people and good thoughts and affirmation to support you, so that your cup is spilling over, and you can then serve from your saucer. So those are some of the things that we go through.
I love that. I love that. So we are going to wrap up by talking to Fear, like literally live. So you see your camera, you see the little thing. We're going to look that right in the face and talk to Fear really quick, short and sweet. Might not even be a minute. And so would you like me to go first, or would you like to
go first? Yeah, go first.
So my conversation with Fear has been a little different now that I've conquered this one little pebble, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's like a whole lot of little rocks laying around, and no matter millionaire, trillionaire, or you work at 7-Eleven, I'm not comparing the two. Fear is going to show up. Nobody's exempt, right? So now that I've kicked this little pebble out the way, hey, Fear, the reason why I'm being so chummy is because really, you really don't have an impact in my life. And actually, I wanted to thank you, because as you showed up, you made me make a decision quicker than I thought that I even would. So I just want to let you know it backfired on you. What you were trying to stop me from doing, you actually propelled me to do it. So I made the decision, I pulled the plug, I took the leap, whatever you want to call it. And now the sky is the limit. So I actually want to say thank you.
That's awesome. Okay, this is an interesting question. Okay, so me and Fear, we've been having tug of war lately. But this is what I would say to Fear. Dear Fear, you will no longer have me paralyzed, immobilized. You will no longer have me in confusion, where I'm in a hypnotic rhythm of feeling an imprisonment of sadness. As a result of experiencing you, I now know that I can do anything and everything. I now know that as long as I look up to my highest power, I am safe. My family is safe. Mm. Fear, you no longer have dominance over me. If anything, you have just unleashed someone who is going to bring an abundance of life to others and transform lives. And for that, I thank you. Now, fear, I'm pretty sure we'll see each other again. But just know that I have tools in my toolbox now. And I'm ready to go toe to toe with you anytime. All right? All right, fear. There we go.
Peace out. I love that. How did that feel?
That felt great. That felt good. That felt really good.
Yeah, and I know it's just a role play, but when you're put on the spot and you don't have time to be the perfectionist and make it perfect and tweak it and you just let it flow, that's when the real magic happens.
Mm-hmm. That felt good. I feel good.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, let everybody know again what you do, who you serve, and what should make them reach out to you. Like, what would be their pain points to say, oh, I need to definitely reach out to her?
Yeah. So again, my name is Ucheonye Maple. I'm leadership and personal development coach. Really, I serve women in STEM, but I can serve any woman who, number one, if you're having issues in the workspace, if you are trying to figure out how can I get promoted, Uche, I am underpaid. Uche, I feel like I know that my voice is not valid, or I'm confused. I don't know which direction I want to go to next. Mm-hmm. You come to me, and therefore what me and my team will do, we'll make sure that we help you address that, get on the right path so that you can position yourself for greatness.
I love that. Awesome. And what's your website and where can they find you?
Yeah, so my website is www.ucheonyemaple.com. That's a mouthful. Yeah. www.ucheonyemaple.com. You can find me on IG at Uche Maple. Facebook, Uche Maple is all the same, and Twitter is Maple. And of course, if you want to email me, you can do umaple@ucheonyemaple.com as well. Awesome. So all my information is on there.
Thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
No problem. And for those who are listening, if anything resonated, make sure you share this on social. All of Uche's information will be in the notes. Again, I'm your mindset and clarity strategist. And if you want to create a core offer of impact, make sure you schedule a complimentary clarity call with me. You're going to text mindset to 678-336-7756. And we will see you on the next session of the BAE Podcast. Bye, guys.
Very good.